What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Cheese Talk podcast. I'm your host, Brian, and tonight I'm joined by one of my favorites on Twitter, Jan Jan.
Hi.
First, before I get to her, I want to give a shout out to the Ope Network for giving me, let me podcast under their umbrella, the Ope Network. Thanks, Joe. Anyways, Jan, what's up?
Hey. How are
Well,
you?
good.
How
How
are
are
you
you?
on this Monday night? Did you have a 3-day weekend as well?
I did.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I apologize. I know we were supposed to do this yesterday, but I was at my parents' ranch and there's no signal over there. I've tried to do my show. I've tried to do it with on Lombardi Sweep over there at the ranch, but it doesn't go through. They lose me so many times that they're just like, just stay off. Just like we're gonna spend this entire episode trying to get you on. Just stay off and don't come back. So I just wanted to make sure that I had clear signal. And it's actually raining right now in San Antonio. And I was hoping that it wouldn't make my lights go off because that's happened too. I have the worst luck, especially in September. Texas is like it's kind of like Wisconsin between the months of like October and January. Like it's so unpredictable what's gonna happen here in Texas. We're either gonna get a tornado, hail, rain, snow, an ice day. We've had ice days before, so it's just crazy.
Yeah, ice days in Texas, it's like no one leaves their house.
Yeah, no.
So
I don't leave my house regardless. So this is my safe haven. I am here most of the time.
yeah, same with me, except for when I have to leave.
Except for work. If that makes
Right.
some sort of income.
Right. Yeah. No kidding. Right. That and taking my kids places that they got to go to. But other than that, I don't like people that much. I mean, I do, but I don't. You know what I'm saying? It's just like someone's gonna piss me off. Someone's gonna cut in front of me. Someone's not gonna use their signal. Someone's gonna brake at the last second. Someone's gonna walk out in traffic and expect you to stop for them, even though you have the right of way because you drive. I mean, people are stupid. You know?
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. And people are like, when you seem like such a like an like an open person and you seem like an extrovert. And I'm like, well, I'm actually an ambivert, which is in between, where I'm like, there's days where I just hate everybody. I just want to be in my room. And then there's days where my social battery is fully charged and I'm fine.
Right. So, do you like going to Packer games?
I love going to the Packer games. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. I always say that Lambeau is my form of Disney World. And I know this, it's the happiest place on earth for me. And I know this because if you would tell me to go to Disneyland at 5-degree weather, I would tell you, hell no. But I will gladly go to Lambeau when it's like 5 degrees. I love it there.
Right. Now, actually, I was at the Ravens game. Was it last weekend? I think. I coach youth football here, and my fifth graders, and I coach him. Well, one of the coaches, and the Packers gave the youth football organization I had like a ton of tickets, and I was able to snag some up and take 4 out of my 5 kids. We went to the game and
Yay!
we got to watch them. It was my kid's first time going to a game, so I thought that was kind of cool. But out in the sun and probably be my only time going this year. But I do plan on going to hopefully a couple of tailgates that some people like Kate is setting up, I think, here in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
I
The home opener.
Yeah, I might
That's
get
very
dropped
usual.
off there and just I don't drink, but I can still have fun.
I don't plan on drinking. Last year I drank and while I didn't go overboard, it's just I felt kind of like icky about it. I'm not against drinking, like I'll drink once in a while, but I just felt kind of So this year I decided I'm just gonna soak it in and not drink. I'm gonna sober it up.
Yeah, I'll come if I do come. I was going to come and hang out and just probably stay for the game and have my wife pick me up when it's done.
That's great.
Speaking of the Packers, what are your thoughts? I know it's happened a while ago, but what are your thoughts on the draft this year and who we've kept through the preseason that we drafted? I know we got rid of Michael Pratt, and I think that was it, right? And
Honestly, I think we did very well. I think this team is loaded and it's so talented and it's young talent, so they can easily grow underneath, all this great coaching staff that we've got. They can easily grow. So and that I kind of see our rookies as babies, like like where they heal a lot faster. They're like I don't know. They're a lot more. I don't know how to explain it. They're kind of I can't find the word. But when you drop a baby, the baby does, and they it depends on how you react to it. They don't necessarily like flinch or anything like that. I think that's the way these guys are playing. They're just playing like, woo, let's go out there and have some fun. So I like the youth that they've brought on this team this year and the year before, but I think it's just getting younger as we go.
yeah, it's funny you say that because they made it a point on Twitter to say the last 2 days the Packers had practiced with no injuries.
Yeah, yeah.
Out there practicing. It's like, wow, when's the last time you saw that happen?
They're like a tough and what is it, like those gym babies, like the ones that they have just like rolling around on the bouncy stuff. I
Yeah.
don't know. I see them as so young, and when I was younger, you could get over an injury like that so quickly. Now, of course, it takes several months to get over an injury, but it's just I just see them as so I don't know if the word is flexible or
Resilient.
resilient. There we go. Thank you. Resilient. I just see them as so resilient because they're so young right now.
Right. And I think we got a new training staff too. I
I
think
think they cleaned house.
yeah, they did. I think this training staff, if I remember correctly, they're from San Francisco.
Yeah.
So, and I think in a roundabout way, I think they're related to LaFleur's wife. One of the guys is like a cousin or something like that to his wife. So people always say, "Oh, he's hiring them because it's their friend or family or whatever." Well, if it works out, who cares, right?
If it works, it works. Yeah, it's all about politics but I mean, if they're gonna bring something good to the table, but I did see, yes, they clean house. I like to look up Packer jobs when I'm bored. So I had seen them all listed, and yeah, I just get really bored sometimes, and I'll be like, what's available right now? And
So when are you going to be the strength and conditioning coach?
I wish I need to go back to school for sure. I need to go back to school, but I would be so down for that. I think that would be so fun.
Could you imagine just the people that would be coming after you on Twitter?
Oh, yeah, they would. They totally would. I feel so bad. Any woman that gets hired within, any kind of NFL league just gets trashed on, and I'm like, you have no idea what like everything that she's had to do to get there. So just mind your business. Mind your business.
It's like, yeah, they're there for a reason. They're not going to hire somebody off the street with no background on what they're hiring them for. But
yeah, they're not teachers. I'm just kidding. The school system right now. Oh, all our subs have been hired as teachers right now, so it's like we're on the struggle bus. So if you're looking for a job, just know teachers are always hiring. Well, school districts are always hiring teachers.
But you gotta move to Texas, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now, are you originally from Wisconsin?
So my family moved there from Mexico. So from Mexico, they went up to Wisconsin. And then my parents came down to Texas for college and then to be closer to Mexico. And then I was born. And so my grandparents and I have a couple of aunts and uncles that are still up there. I have some in Sun Prairie, Chippewa, and Racine.
Okay, yeah. I'm from Oregon, Wisconsin, which is just south of Madison.
Okay.
So I'm up in I'll just say I'm up in Green Bay right now. So yeah, my wife is from up here. We met at a Badger game, oddly enough. Well, not a game, but at a bar.
That's cute.
At a bar that we both worked at. So yeah, and we've been up here for 16 years. So it feels like forever, but it's
That's great though. And then I do have some family and Minnesota as well, and
Ooh.
they are very much Vikings fans. Yeah, I'm like, where did how did that even happen? But they ended up finding work over there, so that's where they ended up staying. So we have family in Minnesota, and then also in Green Bay.
In Green Bay, we call that Lambeau West. Who was your all-time favorite Packer?
Jordy Nelson and Aaron Jones.
That's fine.
I love Aaron Jones so much, and it just breaks my heart. I know people are like, "You need to calm down." He wasn't even. I'm like, can you just step back and give the man more credit? Yes, he could have been injured a lot during the season, but how else did we win that playoff game against the Cowboys? That was all him.
Right.
He's so talented, and I love him till forever. It's just, it breaks my heart. But yes, and then Jordy Nelson. I will always be heartbroken about Jordy Nelson as well. But I know it's just business, and I have to get used to it. My dad's always like, I think the fans get more attached to the players than the actual organization does.
Yeah.
I don't see it that way, but that's just me. I get my feelings involved.
Yeah. See, I like Charles Woodson, and even though he was a Raider at first, I liked him when he was a Raider too. You know, it's just even better when he came to Green Bay because he was a Packer. You know, so yeah. Who do you think is the Packers' biggest rival? And you can't say Chicago because they haven't beaten us in 10 games. So.
Well, right now, I would say the Lions are our biggest bet.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell. I love. Okay, so my dad's a football coach, so I also like to see like the coaching aspect. And my dad is very much a Dan Campbell style coaching, where it's like, throwing bricks at their players to make them resilient. So I love Dan Campbell. I just love his attitude. I love everything that he's done for the organization coming in. And I know Packer fans are going to come after me. They just hate whenever I root for them in any kind of way. But just seeing his Cinderella story coming from being, that 0-16 team that he came from, and then just came around, started coaching, and now he's bringing them up the way he is. It's just, makes me so happy. It's such a Cinderella story in the football world.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got to root for stories like that,
Yeah.
As long as it's not Chicago or Minnesota, it's when it's a team like Detroit that hasn't seen much in the last. Well, the Bears has been almost 40 years, but Detroit has been forever.
Yeah, so I think they would be our biggest rival at the moment, aside from the Chicago Bears, and they would be my best bet to bring actual competition.
Right. Now, you said Lambeau is like your Disney World.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about Lambeau Field?
My favorite part about, like, physically, or can it be the environment?
In general, is there anything that what's your favorite thing about Lambeau Field?
My favorite thing about Lambeau Field would probably be the environment and how the people of Green Bay, or just Wisconsin in general, have kept it running for so long. I think I saw somebody on Instagram post that we were on Wanderlust as just like a spectacular place to visit because we're the oldest football stadium. And so during the pandemic, I watched all those documentaries like a billion times. And I was just, I've always known that we've had so much history, but just to know that, the people around it have kept it running for so long without the help of the NFL, it makes me so happy. It's just, it's such a community. So I think that's what I appreciate the most, is the community around it, to keep it. I think that's what keeps the magic of it. I think that's what makes it Lambeau.
Yeah, and too, like how much they're adding. So from like Lambeau Field to Highway 41, I mean, they pretty much bought up all that. And they put the sledding hill there. They put a couple of hotels, some townhomes, and yeah, it's just to see what they're doing with the area around it to bring more people in. And I'm just curious to see what they're going to do for the draft next year, like how they're going to have it, like where are the people going to walk out that get drafted, and just to kind of see it all take place. is going to be awesome. I tell people all the time, you don't have to be a Packer fan. Just go to the Packers Hall of Fame and see all the history of the NFL in the Hall of Fame. It's crazy. All like the Reggie White cleats, Brett Favre cleats, game worn jerseys, stuff from back when Vince Lombardi bought players' wives purses or fur coats. All that stuff's in the Hall of Fame. It's crazy.
It's just football history. If you're a football fan, it's just that history. And then I also saw the documentary during the 100-year NFL birthday, where they talk about how all the teams were basically the entire episode is just a map, and it's plotting out where all the teams moved throughout the years. Yeah. That's the entire episode. You're just watching these teams move different areas because of financial reasons, owners, all that stuff. But Lambeau never moves. Right. And it's just it's a blessing that it's never moved.
Yeah, and to see the money, I mean, just there's not a day I go by there where there's not cranes up doing work to the stadium. Whether they're remodeling or repainting or doing whatever to make it look the way it does. It's just like like you said, it's like in a small town. All of a sudden, boom! Like there is Lambeau. If I get bored, I'll go on a drive and just drive by Lambeau Field or just go there and walk around. It's just the statues and just even when it's not a game day, just the hype around the stadium. People are there. I mean, it's open 364 days out of the year. People can go there whenever they want.
And it's beautiful. And I know I'm just biased because I love Lambeau, but I've been there through all kinds of weather just because my grandparents live up there and my family lives up there. So it's just beautiful weather regardless. And I know that I have also seen comments about, domes and dome stadiums talking about, nobody wants to sit in that 3-degree weather. But those games, I think, are the most beautiful games ever, just to watch, snow coming down or even just like the cold. I don't know why. I think that also adds to the magic of it. So when people talk about making our stadium into a dome, I think it would just take away from it.
Right. When my brother-in-laws were in college, they once played at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. And that place smelled like urine. That was disgusting. It was so gross.
Well, I've been to the AT&T Stadium a couple of times, just because whenever they're Packers are here in Texas, it's just easier for me to get there. But it just feels like a concert. I don't feel like I'm at a game. The entire game, I feel like I'm just watching on the Jumbotron because, Jerry had to make that thing gigantic. And then, so we were watching it on that big old Jumbotron, the players look teeny weeny. And then the prices are ridiculous. It's just, and I talk about the benefits of, not having an owner to Cowboy fans and teach them a thing or two for talking about us. But I'm like, yeah, that's the reason why I only paid $200 for a ticket versus, $600 just to
That's
get
crazy.
a reasonable seat. I think a couple of years back, I paid $200 and I ended up like probably a row from hitting the back. That's how far up I was in the nosebleeds. Yeah. And then recently when I went, it went up to like $450 in that same spot. I'm like, how? So, so it's just, I don't like the dome stadiums.
Yeah. And you got people that are like, well, why would you want to sit in Lambeau? Well, first of all, half the time we're not sitting, we're standing because we have something to cheer for.
Yeah.
Unlike them,
That's true.
So if you go and tailgate, and what are you going to bring to a tailgate? Like, what do you bring?
Last year I brought coffee and a 6-pack. Okay, first of all, we started tailgating at 8 a.m. So I was exhausted. I went to my workout at 6 a.m. And then so I worked out from like 6 to 7, got ready, and then we were off. And we ended up there like at 8:30. So I was exhausted. So I had Starbucks double shot espressos in my pocket. And then I had a 6-pack. And then I also like to put, I know this is just something that I've done for a while, but I like to put the Fireball shots in my socks, and then I sneak them into Lambo, and then like I pass them out to everybody around me, because I let them know that first of all, I'm going to be rowdy, and second of all, I don't sit down. So I'm sorry in advance, and here's a shot on me. But that's usually what I do. But other than that, I try to, bring snacks or bring something that I will be helping Kate out with the tailgate. So if she wants me to bring anything, I usually ask her, like, what do you need? Do you need plates and all that? But other than that, I just bring myself. And I think I'm going to wear my Mickey ears this year, too.
That'll make Kate happy.
Yeah, I have the little ones that have like the Green Bay. I wore them at Disney with Jamie. I don't know if you remember Jamie.
Yep.
Jamie Cheese, but we went to Disney together, and that was like our bucket list as friends. We were gonna go to Disney together, all decked out in Green Bay stuff, and we bought Mickey ears that have the logo on them. And then that ended up being the day that Aaron Rodgers got taken to the Jets, got traded to the Jets. So it was terrible. The entire park asked us if we were okay.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at that, I think we're all pretty glad that we traded him. I mean, I'm thankful for what he did for Green Bay,
True.
But he's gotten pretty weird since he left.
Yeah, I mean, we can always appreciate him as a player, but I hate this. I'm like, you saw Brett Favre, what happened to him, and then you go and you do the exact same thing. And so it's just, yeah, I'm very happy that, we got Jordan Love. He's just so humble, and he's such a chill guy, and he's been through a lot, personally. And I think despite that, I would never want anybody to go through that. He's grown so much.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like, we had to gamble. Either you're going to put your chips in on Jordan Love, or you're going to keep Aaron around and risk losing Jordan Love. If we lost Jordan Love and stuck with Aaron, we would have been screwed.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. He just needs to get his ducks in a row, whatever he's doing over there. I feel for my Jets fan friends. They're like, what the hell? We were so excited he was going to come over here. And I'm like, well, we kind of all saw this coming. If you've been following, us.
I think he'll do good. He has weapons there. He has to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to let him call some plays on his own. That's just the way it's going to be. That's how he is, They're going to play. They're going to call plays. Going to get to the huddle. He's going to get to the huddle and change the play to what he wants to run, which has a 50-50 chance of working. Either it's going to work and he's going to look like a genius, or it's not going to work and he'll blame the coaches. So.
Yep. But that's not our problem anymore.
Right, it's not our problem. So who do you think, as of now, is the greatest quarterback in team history?
It's gonna be Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers?
Yes.
Even ahead of Bart Starr?
Yes, but I don't know. I just feel like football has definitely changed within, the decades. You just see a lot more athleticism from these guys. And I think Aaron Rodgers displayed his athleticism with us in such miraculous ways. All of his Hail Marys and just his little, his throws that somehow made it through through the hole. It's just some of the stuff that he's done is beyond, and you start to see it in Jordan Love too, where some of the things that they display is beyond, the playbook. It's just beyond whatever we've seen before. So I just think that I think it's him. Unfortunately.
Yeah. You mentioned those throws, and it makes me think about that one that Love had last year. I think it was against the Cowboys, that it went through like one defender's hands and the next defender's hands and the next defender's hands. But I forgot who eventually made the catch in the end zone. I think it was either Reed
Yeah.
or Dobbs?
Yeah, it
Oh,
was one of them. Yeah,
right.
I remember that too. I made a little meme of it where it's like it's like that person that's just with their eyes just like wide open instead of sleeping, and the little thought bubble. It's just replaying over and over. I'll send it to you. It's so funny, but it's basically I saw that in my dreams over and over again. And
Yeah.
you just think about it. It's like some of these Hail Marys that, Rodgers threw in his time with us, and they give you goosebumps. Like
Yeah.
I always remember Brett Favre's game against the Raiders after his dad
Yep.
passing. Like it's just something that doesn't erase. I'm getting goosebumps right now. It's just something that never erases from your mind. It never comes. It just, yeah. I think it's gonna be Aaron Rodgers. Brett Favre made me love the game, though. He did.
Right. Yeah.
I grew up with my dad just being a super fan. My dad, I'm the spawn of a super fan. So my dad was just like, he's got the Brett Favre fat head on the wall and the dollar on his frame dollar on his wall. So I grew up watching Brett Favre, and he made me love the game. He just brought this whole new style to it. Just
Right. You bring up that Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary against Detroit. And I remember as you know, I have like 50 children. So we just got them all laid down from, gosh, was my youngest born yet? Was that over 8 years ago? Anyway, I had all my kids in bed, and it was a night game, and I'm sitting there, I'm like pacing back and forth in my living room with a Packers blanket, pacing back and forth. Does a throw. It gets called back because of the face mask. The ghost face mask, they call it. But you touch the face mask, it's a penalty. They touched his face mask. Anyway, he threw it, and Richard Rodgers caught that. And I screamed so loud, I jumped up in the air, and I threw my blanket to the ground. And I'm running around the house. All my kids wake up. But yeah, like you said, it's one of those games that you're never going to forget. They said that ball went as high as it went far. Like that's crazy.
Oh, that gave me goosebumps.
Just the arm that he has to make those throws, is
it's a miracle. Yeah.
What do you think the Packers' record is going to be this year? I'm going with 12-5.
Okay, last year was funny. I went 12-5 too, with Lombardi sweep, but I just randomly threw out a number. I was like, we're gonna be 12-5, and the guys were like, you're insane. That's a crazy number. And they were all choosing like lower numbers, like 9 and something. So they were like, no, it's not gonna be 12-5, and I ended up being the closest. So I'm just gonna say 12-5 again. I believe in my team, and I might be one of those crazy fans that just thinks that they're perfect.
Yeah, it's like it'd be nice if they went like 13-4 or whatever, but then they have all these big expectations going into the playoffs, and don't want them to pull like a first round dud, And oh man, I'd rather have a team like in 2010 when they were a wild card. And they went in all their away games, and they beat, was it Philadelphia, Atlanta, Chicago, and no one expected them to do it, and they did. So I don't know. I feel like you're more disappointed if they're like the top seed and they lose in the first round. Not saying they would, but that's how I look at it. I'd rather them be like a lower seed, and that way if they lose, it doesn't hurt as much.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I was really proud of them for beating the Cowboys, and it was very unexpected. We still are the youngest team in the league, so I was not expecting them to go as far as they did, and that's where a lot of fights broke out on Twitter when people were like, they failed, and I'm like, no, they didn't fail. Honestly, nobody even saw us there. Nobody saw us, beating the Cowboys. They thought we were going to lose. So honestly, they didn't even see us in the playoffs. Right. So I thought that was a win for us because we are such a young team, and we still need to build off a lot. So if we can get where we got last year, not knowing that we were going to get there, and without Aaron Rodgers, because everybody told us that we were done for without him. I think that we're going to be great this year.
Yeah, and especially if we can keep everyone healthy, especially I think the one thing that's going to be different this year from last year is if we have a healthy Christian Watson.
Oh, yeah.
Because people know what Jaden Reed can do. They know what Dubs can do. Then if you have a healthy Watson out there, who are you going to double team? Who are you going to leave open? Okay, so then all of a sudden you got Kraft and Musgrave coming. And it's just crazy amount of weapons that we have that
we do.
Would be a nightmare to plan for, big time.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that Cowboy game. Like it was funny because it was against Mike McCarthy. And then it was funny because it was in Dallas. And it's funny because it was in Dallas. We have more playoff wins in that stadium than the Cowboys do.
And they do, yeah. And I was, and I should have gone to that game. I should have, but unfortunately, I got called. It was when I was still working, in the refinery. So they called me for a job the next day, and so it would have been me driving to Dallas and watching the game, then driving down to Corpus for that job, and it would have been a lot. So I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to miss it," and I still had to pack for that job, so I didn't get to. But I'm hoping that this year, I have a little bit more, I guess, control of my schedule.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think Jordan Love's the long-term answer for the Packers?
Yes. Yes, I do. I think he's learned a lot. He's definitely transformed from when those first few times that we saw him. He kind of looked like a baby deer on the field, kind of didn't know where he was going those first few games when Aaron Rodgers was still QB1. But I think he's grown so much. We've seen him become a leader. Right. Before he was just like, well, I'm just, backup quarterback, and you can kind of see that when he would play. Now he's taken that role so well, and I think his playing has gotten better, and I think that's the main thing that you want. Not only does he have the chemistry to be a leader where all these players are looking up to him and they talk good about him and all that, they respect him, but somebody that's willing to learn.
Right.
You've got I love, like you said, I love Aaron Rodgers, but he was very on his because he was playing for so long and he was there longer than the coaching staff, and he wanted to do things his way. So a lot of times it would cost us games or cost us, a touchdown and all that stuff. So I think now Jordan Love is there to learn and to listen and to kind of vibe with the players and figure out, how to get us these wins, because like what we've seen from him within the years, I think he's going to get better. He's only going to get better. That's all I see.
Right. It's funny that we always correlate like Favre to Rodgers, Rodgers to Love. I was reading a quote from Brett Favre about like Aaron Rodgers, like when he first got drafted, like ask him a question and the response would be, well, I don't know, you're the first round draft pick or something like Favre was like, he didn't want to teach him what he knew. And then you go from Rodgers to Love, and it seems like their friendship was good.
Yeah.
Like Rodgers still texts Love when he has a good game and against the Cowboys. And so that's good to see that, he was that type of teammate that would take him under his wings and teach him, versus Favre was kind of like the more like arrogant, like, well, you're the first round draft pick, you should know the answer,
Yeah, that's the one thing that I do appreciate from Rodgers, is that he did keep a good relationship with Jordan Love.
Yeah.
So he was able to learn from him, and Jordan Love was very open to learning from him as well.
Right. Random question I always ask, what's your favorite type of cheese?
Munster.
Munster?
Without a skimming of beat, it's Munster. Yes. Well, more specific, jalapeno Munster cheese.
Okay.
With the jalapenos in them, it's so good. And every time I go to Wisconsin, I get a bunch, and I bring. This past time that I went, the ice just was too small. I had to stop and buy another one to make sure that all the cheese, because once you get to Texas, it doesn't matter what time of the year it is. It could be 85 degrees in the middle of January. So I drove down from Wisconsin 19 hours, and by the time I got here, it was already like 85 degrees. So I had to make sure I had a cooler.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a cheese shop by our house, and my kids can attest for me, right? That I like ghost pepper cheese.
I've heard that one's good. Wait, where is that? What is it called?
The shop?
Yes.
It's Gray's.
Okay.
It's in De Pere, kind of. It's like south of my house. Like within walking distance, a couple blocks. So
okay. Because my grandma, every time we go, she's got like a new cheese place for us to visit. And she's like, I got this cheese place you guys have to try out. And then we end up going to the cheese store and buying cheese. So
yeah, there's also my wife one day, she was at Maplewood Meats, which is between Green Bay. Well, it's on the way to Wausau from Green Bay and Highway 29. And that's the place that when Aaron Rodgers was dating Olivia Munn, they made famous because they're ordering from there or whatever. Anyways, she found a Carolina Reaper cheddar. And that was really good too. And,
I like the ones that are hot. Though. A lot of them, they say the name like jalapeno or whatever, and then they just taste like it. They don't have the hotness to them. I like for it to be hot.
No, it's hot. It's hot, and I'm crazy for eating it, but it's like going by an accident. You just can't stop. You just can't stop. You just keep going back for more. You know.
That's me with the kettle cooked jalapeno chips.
Yeah.
The crunchers. So for my dad, he's like, every time we go up, apparently somebody told me that they had discontinued them. I ended up going down. I was around Madison, and I ended up finding some at a convenience store, and I bought a bunch. I bought so many because I gave some for my dad for his birthday, but he's also on a mission. We're obsessed with those crunchers, but the jalapeno ones, we can't find them all the time, but when we do, we buy a bunch.
Yeah. Who is your favorite coach in team history?
Coach?
Yeah.
I like a lot of Vince Lombardi's quotes.
Yeah.
I think first of all, he's Italian. So he's a brown person like me. And then a lot of his quotes, I think he's something on the spectrum, OCD something. He was always so punctual and so tidy, and he's just obviously it's a different time, so he's just a different breed of coach, but a lot of his quotes resonate with me, and sometimes I'll tell them to the kids too. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's nothing wrong with that, because a lot of stuff you can resonate with real life too. You know, it's not just like playing sports. A lot of the stuff that people say, you think of like in everyday things that you do. You know, like
yeah. So I think he was my favorite. And then just looking, also because he was a mad scientist, he was the one that put the coils underneath the field to heat it. That's why we ended up with the first heated field, because he saw his wife with that heated blanket, and he was like, I can do that with the field. And then he's the one that decided to go under there. And I think that's like such a, I don't know, such a spectrum thing to do. Like, you're like, oh yeah, I can do that. I can fix that, and just go and figure it out. And he just created this masterpiece.
It's like, hey, Brown County, raise your sales tax 0.5%. We'll pay for this in 10 years. You know? No, I would go with definitely Vince Lombardi as one of my favorite, but just for the simple fact that I've actually gotten to talk to Matt LaFleur before. I think he's a really cool guy, down to earth. I did coach his son in basketball a couple years ago.
Nice.
Then he would come to the games and he'd be sitting there screaming at the refs. And I mean, he's just a great guy. And I don't know. I just like his playbook, what he brings to a team. I think with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, they kind of bumped heads, but didn't let it go too public. But now that we saw LaFleur's offense last year and what it did, especially against the Cowboys, how we expose them. I mean, that's just the mastermind of his offense if you have the right players. So, yeah, Vince Lombardi, I think, is number one. I think LaFleur is number two. McCarthy, he just always had like arrogance about him.
Oh, we don't like him in this house. No, my dad despised him. Also, I don't like him because of what he did to Aaron Jones. He never played him.
Right.
He had him sitting on the bench, just wasting away. My dad was like, he's about to. If he doesn't play Aaron Jones is going to turn into Eddie Lacy. Like he basically, because he never played Aaron Jones. There was something, I don't know what they had against each other or what, but so because Aaron Jones is my favorite, it's just I've never really liked him.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy's actually he's a big dude. So my middle daughter, we're at her first communion? We were at her first communion at church. And I'm sitting in line with her to get her picture taken up at the altar or whatever, and I turn around and look, and there's Mike McCarthy. His daughter was in my daughter's first communion class.
Oh wow!
He's like 6'4". He's huge.
Yeah.
He looks small on TV. Well, now he looks big on TV, but he's even bigger in real life. I think he got kicked out of one of his Stepstones basketball games in Green Bay because he's yelling at the refs. They kicked him out of the game. Ever since, I don't know. I guess they're human too, and they get emotions get the best of them and whatever.
Yeah.
But, in your opinion, speaking of obnoxious fans, which team do you think has the most obnoxious fans?
The Cowboys.
Cowboys?
Yes. Well, I mean, I live with them. I live in their environment. But they're the only team I've been to. Saints. The Saints are the best. They're the best fans I've ever partied with. They didn't care if they were losing or winning, and likewise, because I was just so happy. I was having so much fun with them. So, and we partied, on Bourbon Street all night. They didn't care. And then, so I've been to Saints. I've been to the Cowboys. I've been to Kansas City Chiefs. And I think that's all of the fans that I've encountered, or like other stadiums. I'm trying to remember. But so they're the only ones that have trashed my car twice, not once, twice. They threw a milkshake on it. They ripped off all my decals. Every time I'm like, so now whenever I go to the games, I have to that's why whenever I go to Green Bay, I buy doubles of the decals because I have to take them off if I ever go to a game in Dallas, and then I'll replace them. But yes, I have to strip all my decals off my car because they trash it every single time. I've had them rip off the decals when I'm parked at school. Where the decal's just in a little ball on purpose, like just thrown there. I'm like, y'all do that on purpose. But it's Cowboy fans. They're just so obnoxious. I can't stand it. Well, there's some that I'm okay with. There's some that are very cordial and very nice, but there's some that are just terrible. I've been to HEB and okay, I have no other clothes. I really don't. I don't have anything other than my Packer stuff. So I'm always in my Packer stuff, and I've had them yell at me while I'm at HEB shopping. I'm like, I didn't come here for you to yell at me. This is the only clothes I have. I'm not here to rub it in your face. But I was like buying hot dogs, and somebody just came up to me and they were like, the Packers fucking suck. And I was like, I'm sorry, I cussed. I don't know if I could cuss on this show.
That's okay.
But they were like, the Packers freaking suck. And I was like, what? I just tried to buy hot dogs. And then another time I went, the person at the register was a Cowboys fan, and he's like, I'm not checking her out. Does anybody want to switch with me? And he made somebody switch with him.
Really? That's
yes.
Crazy. He wouldn't do his job. Well, he's getting paid to do because you're wearing Packer stuff.
He got somebody else to come and switch out with him, and I was like, good. I didn't want you to bag my stuff anyway. So it's just, they're so obnoxious. I'm like, you don't have to be like that. I'm not trying to rubbing it in. I'm just wearing my stuff. It's not, if I was in your face or, doing it on purpose, but I'm just buying stuff. But I realized that also, I think it's because I'm a girl, because when I'm with my dad's 6'2", So he's like this giant dude, and whenever I'm with my dad and he wears his Packer stuff, they don't tell him nothing.
Yeah. No, I have a couple of friends that are Cowboys fans, but a guy on Twitter, Cowboy Reg, he's a Cowboy fan. He's awesome.
Yeah, I have
He's
some
real.
people that are.
Yeah, he knows his history about football, and he likes I think he's a secret Packers fan. No, he's a good guy. He's been on my show before, but yeah, no, for me it's like Bears, and not even Bears fans. It's just I had a Bears fan on one day, and first question I asked him if they still own a VCR to watch the Super Bowl highlights from '85, and that didn't make them too happy.
Chisel and stone. A chisel and stone. Yeah.
But I mean, I know we kind of touched on it before, but when you hear Green Bay, what comes to mind? Like when you hear someone bring up Green Bay.
Cheese. Cheese. I just think about cheese. I am a vegetarian, so most of my diet is cheese and carbs. But I think that's what I think about. But I do think about a lot of my core memories because I think I was 16 my first game that I went to, but I've always visited Wisconsin ever since I was 12. For Christmas every year, we would take a road trip, and my family and we would go visit my grandparents. And it's just, I have a lot of my core memories there, seeing snow for the first time because it wasn't going to happen in Texas. But seeing snow, and then y'all also celebrate Christmas so differently. The Midwest celebrates Christmas so beautifully versus Texas. You wouldn't even know it's Christmas here sometimes. But Todd took me to go see the big Santas on that one road in Madison.
Okay.
There's like a road, and they have all these inflatable Santas that everybody decided to put them down the street. Every single house owns one of those 8-foot inflatable Santas.
Really?
And I started crying, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "It's just so beautiful. It's like healing my inner child." Just because that's every time I go to Wisconsin, it'd be Christmas to visit my grandparents. So that's like, it's core memories.
Yeah, definitely. You think of like one of the smallest markets in professional sports with one of the biggest followings too. It's you go. Before I moved up here, I met my wife. I traveled, the U.S. for my job, kind of installing like telecommunication buildings for like power plants and stuff, and been to New Mexico, California, and there's Packer bars everywhere.
Yes.
They're everywhere.
There's a few here in San Antonio. I have yet to be at one because my family and I have a tradition that we have to watch a game with a family member. So unless one of my family members decided to go to the bar with me, I wouldn't really go. Instead, we usually all meet up at somebody's house, and that's like our tradition.
It's just crazy. Even reports coming in of like the Packer fandom in Brazil too.
Yeah, there's a lot, and Ireland as well. I know I have a bunch of followers. Sometimes they'll kind of, let me know from where they are, and I also see their little flags. But there's so many Packer fans all around the world.
Yeah, it's crazy. Do you think there's more Packer fans or Cowboy fans?
I think there might be more Packer fans, honestly. I have yet to meet any of. I actually saw. I got a Go Pack Go in Italy.
Did you?
Yes, when I was in Italy, I had a Go Pack Go. Somebody rolled down their window, and they shouted "Go Pack Go."
That's awesome. Do you think Cowboy fans listen to Nickelback? And they wear like those studded pocket jeans.
It's like the Cowboy fan starter pack, and it's like those Jordans with like a cargo shorts, and then like an old jersey, like a retro jersey, and the sunglasses. So funny because my uncle looks just like that. Like he wears all that, and I sent it to him. But he's a Cowboys fan. So
Is he a Yankees fan too?
no, no, he's an Astros fan. Oh, even worse.
No, it's funny. It is, yeah, the starter pack. But you can't put the Jordans in because I still wear Jordans. You knock Jordans, you're knocking me. What do you think? A couple more questions and I'll let you go. But one of the questions I have for you, what do you think a turning point was last year for the Packers?
I think when they realized that we had a chance. I think a lot of them were just kind of not going through the motions, but a lot of them are so young, still learning, the NFL. I think it was when we were going up against the Cowboys. I think that was the turning point. Because, yeah, we saw a lot of instances where Jordan Love did show us his talent, and it was exciting. And then once we were going into the playoffs, we were like, hold on, we can actually do this. Because I think no one was expecting it, not even us. So I think at that point, we were just like, hold on, what do we have here? And I think now that we saw what we saw last year, it was our turning point that now we're, our expectations that we are building off of from last year are not unrealistic. Like, so a lot of us are saying Super Bowl, and that's not unrealistic because of what we saw last year. So
Right.
I think that was it when we, started seeing, the players. I think it hit the players too. I think a lot of them were tweeting out like, I can't believe we're actually doing this. We're going to the playoffs.
Yeah, the way I look at it, like last year, even before last year even started, we had the whole drama, not with Aaron Rodgers. Like we didn't know going into the offseason what we were going to have in Green Bay. So then we traded him, and then we were behind Jordan Love. And like you said, people started to believe in Jordan Love. They all kind of like united behind him, and like they're all like really good, good friends from what we can see. There's no locker room drama. I think with Aaron Rodgers towards the end,
it was a lot.
We're walking on eggshells around him just to try it out. Because you think about it, if you're a receiver, what's your job? How do you get paid? You get paid to go out and catch balls from the quarterback. If you're not going out there and kissing Aaron's ass and getting the ball, you're not getting paid. All of a sudden,
creating any kind of relationship with him.
Yeah, and all of a sudden he's gone, and it's like a whole new like era in Green Bay, the Love era, and it's just like they're all 24, 25. They don't realize that. I think last year the players, I don't think a lot of them still do realize how high their ceiling actually is, how good they can actually be. And once they get to that point, we're gonna have to make decisions on who to keep. But then again, I think once some of these receivers come up for a new contract, I think it'd be smart for the Packers. Obviously, we can't keep them all. Yeah. I would trade them for draft picks. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But I think this year, I mean, we knew going in the offseason what we had coming this next year. So I think the Packers are gonna build off of last year in Dallas, like you said.
I hope so. I really do hope so. And I think now that a lot of the players that, were involved on last year's team, they realize it now that it's possible to doesn't matter if they're the youngest team or not, to get far.
Right. And you look at the draft picks, Javon Bullard, Edgerrin Cooper, they're rookies. But the way they played in college, they're playing at a pace at a big university better than most of these players in the NFL play.
Yeah, and I think I had said that before, that a lot of them are, you were seeing a lot of more talent coming in these newer teams. There's a lot more of athleticism being displayed within them and a lot more talent coming in. You're seeing some of these players, keep breaking records and playing remarkable and, playing miracle plays over here that, we've never seen before because they're just coming in different breed.
Right. Yeah, I'm definitely excited for Friday to see what we have. One last question for you, then I'll get going. Who do you think has a breakout year this year?
I know there's like a fight or like a spot for WR1. I know that they're like fighting for it right now. So I love all of them. I love all of them, but I just feel like Wicks, Dobbs, and Reed, all three of them, I think they're going to be, I don't know if you remember, there was a team, I think it was like 2010, 2011. We were just loaded. I think it was that year where we were just loaded with wide receivers, and they would feed off of each other so much that so my uncle was a Cowboys fan, and he would say, I don't know who is who because they're all playing so good. He said he would get confused with our players because we just had so many good players at the time. So I'm hoping that all of them are so competitive with each other that they just all break out.
Right. Hey, it's a good answer to end on.
Yeah, I just hope that they're all just so competitive, because I think that's what Love said, that he's not telling them who he thinks wide receiver 1 is going to be because he wants them all to feel that way. So I hope that that's what they feel, that they're all going to be wide receiver 1. So
yeah, do your route, get open, you get the ball. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jan, listen, I appreciate you being on. Maybe later on in the season we can check back in with you to get your thoughts on how things are going.
For sure.
Good luck on your new born again gig teaching.
Oh my gosh, and I feel for your wife. Good luck with her too. She's gonna do great. Do great.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And again, I appreciate you being on.
Just tell her not to let those kids see that she's scared. Just put on game face.
She's not afraid. She's about 5'9". She's not afraid.
Okay.
I am so.
Game face. You don't smile until like the second semester of school.
Right. And maybe I'll see you at the tailgate thing in a couple of weeks too.
Yes. I'll probably be there with Kate. So.
Okay. Well, I might wander that way on game day.
Thank you so much for inviting me on, Brian. I totally appreciate it.
Yeah, and where can people find you at?
Jan. All my social medias are the same, so they can find me Jan. And then I also have Cheese All That podcast, and I'm also on Lombardi Sweep with those crazy guys. And go by Campeche Collective with Dakota.
There, you got
it. Go buy all the clothes.
Yeah, she's the model for all his new ideas and shirts. So. Awesome. Well, again, thank you. Have a good night and go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.